Hello everyone, this is Satish Gupta again. Today we're going to tackle the third diagnostic tool to gauge the health of the economy. It's called inflation. So let's see, what is inflation? An increase in the average price level of goods and services. So keep in mind, in an economy some prices are going up, some are going down. So our goal is not to look at a specific price. Our goal is to look at overall, whether the overall price level is going up or going down. Deflation is the opposite of inflation, a decrease in the average price level. So keep in mind, we are not worried about a particular price or a particular item. We look at the overall price level is going up or overall price level is going down. There are two concepts of prices in economics. Prices expressed in money that you guys are used to. You always figure out prices in money. But there's another concept called relative prices. So let's see, what do we mean by relative prices? You just use an example. Let's say you have $1 in money. $1 you can use to buy 2 bananas, or $1 you can use to buy 1 apple. So that means 2 bananas are equivalent to 1 apple. Because $1 can buy you 2 bananas, or $1 can buy you 1 apple. So 2 bananas equals to 1 apple. And let's say over a period of time, government has printed money and everything has gone up. So now, say 2 years later, $2 will give you 2 bananas and 1 apple. So price of money has gone up from $1 to $2. But look what happened with the relative prices. We are still able to get 2 bananas for 1 apple. So in this case, money price has gone up, but the relative prices have not changed. So nominal prices expressed in money is what we are concerned in this class. We're not concerned about relative prices. So just keep in mind, money prices go up because government prints money all the time. Government is the chief culprit for causing inflation. Relative prices change because of demand and supply. So let's just give you an example. Let's say in 2010, natural gas, 1 unit of natural gas, which is measured in million British thermal unit, 1 unit costs $15, and your gasoline per gallon costs $3. So 15 versus 3. But now, because of fracking and what is the other concept? Fracking and horizontal drilling. These are 2 technologies that America has developed, which allowed us to find tremendous amount of natural gas. So we have so much natural gas that we are running out of storage. So natural gas prices come down tremendously because we are producing so much. So now in 2019, natural gas is a unit costs only $2, but the gasoline is still $3. So you can see the relative prices have changed. 15 versus 3 versus 2 versus 3. So relative prices are changing all the time because of change in demand, because people buy some things more, some things less, depending upon their taste or their preference or whatever, or because of technology in this case. So we are not worried about the relative prices. We are talking about money prices, what is also called nominal prices. Money prices expressed in money is called nominal prices. Now we're gonna show you how to measure inflation, the increase or decrease in price level. Now there are several ways to measure inflation. There are 100 ways to measure different type of inflation. Our goal is to concern ourselves with 3 main that we use a fair amount. So the first one is called CPI. This is the most important index that we have developed to measure inflation. CPI stands for Consumer Price Index. This index keeps track of our purchasing power. What's going on with our purchasing power? So the definition is, this is a measure index of change in the average price level of consumer goods and services. So goods and services that we buy, it keeps track of inflation for that, what happened with price level, what we pay. So a lot of labor contracts are tied to CPI. So that means if the CPI goes up, the labor wage will go up automatically by the amount of CPI. It's also called COLA, cost of living adjustment. So this is the most popular index to measure inflation. The second is called GDP deflator, GDP gross domestic product deflator. What this does is it keeps track of what's going on with the price level of all the goods and services produced in the country. So a major index of change in the average price of goods and services produced in the country. All goods including capital goods and defense goods that consumers do not buy. So remember, GDP deflator is a way to convert nominal GDP into real GDP. Remember, nominal GDP is expressed in current prices, real GDP is adjusted for inflation. Okay. The third index, which is very popular, is called PPI, which stands for Producer Price Index. What is it? What it is? A major index of change in the average price of goods and services bought by firms like Ford or Boeing. So if Ford and Boeing are paying more for the input costs, it's just a matter of time they're going to raise the prices on us. So this is the harbinger of things to come. So if this thing, producer price index, is going up, it's just a matter of time that you and I as consumers are going to be paying more for cars, for stereos, for airplane tickets or whatever. So next topic is inflation rate. Inflation rate is the annual rate of increase or decrease in the average price level. So BLS, which stands for Bureau of Labor Statistics, is in charge of computing inflation. Okay, so in 70s we had very high inflation, and our economy was stagnant. So Congress passed an act. It's called the Full Employment and Balanced Growth Act of 1978. There they set a goal for our economy: inflation of 3% or less, and unemployment of 5%. That's the goal they set. A new goal set by Federal Reserve Bank is now, a new goal for inflation is 2% or less. Just to give you some number, average inflation for the past 100 years in the United States has been 2.8%. But remember, this is the average. There have been times when the inflation was 15%, 20%. And there have been times when the inflation was negative. This is the average for the past 100 years, 2.8%. Next topic is, how do we compute CPI, Consumer Price Index? So again, remember, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is in charge of computing the CPI. There are 3 steps, and they're very important, so pay attention. First is fix the base year. That means is we fix a particular year, and that year that we used to compare what the prices, what is happening to price level going forward or going backward. So we have set our base year as 1980-82. That means the prices prevalent in 1982 on average is what we use as the base year, and then we compare from then on whether the price level has gone up or gone down. So fix the base year, and our base year is 1980-82. Then the next step is fix the basket. What that means, our goal is to see what is happening to the average price level. So in order to figure that out, what we have done is we have fixed the basket. There's a basket of goods and services the average consumer buys, like a house, Apple, shares, medical care, education, banking services, legal services. So there are 184 items that average consumer consumes on a monthly basis. So that's what the fix the basket. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this basket that we have developed for average consumer and see whether this basket costs more going forward or costs less going forward. Okay, and then we collect the data to develop the CPI. Like I told you earlier, Bureau of Labor Statistics collect data every month. So they collect this data monthly. They collect 90,000 prices. Remember, their goal is to figure out an average for the whole country. So they have to go to New York, they have to go to Omaha, Nebraska, they have to go to Washington to get a what's going on with prices. And they, like I told you earlier, there are 184 items in the basket, and they collect information from 184 areas, geographical areas, to get an accurate picture. So there are 184 items, and if I have to use 184 items to show you how to develop this index, you're going to be here day and night. So what I have done is I have simplified it. I have assumed that there are only 3 items in the basket to simplify our work. So what is the basket? We have a 2-bedroom apartment. one two-bedroom apartment. We have 10 apples. What we're saying is an average person consumes 10 apples a month. And we say average person buys 2 shirts a month. So this is the basket, the quantity and the item. One two-bedroom apartment, 10 apples, 2 shirts. And this is the base year. So we're going to see what was the price at the time of this CPI was collected. Remember, this is the base year. So base year, the two-bedroom apartment rents for $550. Apple costs $1 each, and shirts cost $10 each. These are prices per unit. So that means it is going to cost $580 to get this basket. How I got 580? 1 times 550, 10 times price, one apple, $1 each. So that's $10. 550 plus 10, 560. 2 shirts, 20. So 550, 10, and 20, 580. That means this particular basket of goods in 1980-82 cost $580. Now we're going to take the same basket and see what it cost in 1990. So during that time, the two-bedroom has gone up to $750. Apple has gone up to $2 instead of $1, and the shirts have come down to $9 because maybe we are importing from China. So shirts have become cheaper. So again, if you take these quantities and these prices, you'll see that it's going to cost you $788 to buy the same basket. Again, 1 times 750, 10 times 2, 2 times 9, if you add them up, you get 788. So you can see, in money income, you need more money income to buy the same basket. That means price has gone up. Now we do the same for year 2000. This two-bedroom now costs, rents for $1,000, and Apple costs $3 a piece, and shirts cost $20 a piece. So now again, if you take this quantity and these prices, you come with the cost of the basket, $1,070. So you can see the price for the same basket has gone up from $580 to $788 to $1,070. Okay, I'm gonna flip the page. So what I've done is I have copied the information of the cost of basket from the previous page, So now our goal is to compute the CPI. So the base year CPI is current year cost of basket divided by base year cost of baskets times 100. Since the current year and base year are the same, we get a number of 100. So whatever the cost of basket was, we gave it 100 units. So now we're going to cover the compute the CPI for 1990. Cost of basket, the formula is the same. Cost of basket in 1990, which is the current year, cost of basket in base year, the formula is the same, times 100. Again, in this case, 1990 basket cost 788. The base year basket was 580. Multiplied by 100, we got a 135.9. So the basket that costs 100 units is going to cost us 135.9. So let's see what the CPI for 2000. Again, cost of basket in current year is 2000, which is 1070. Cost of basket in base year, which is again 580, multiplied by 100, we get 184.5. Again, the CPI, the base is always 100. Keep in mind, base is always 100. So it has gone up from 100 to 135.9 to 184.5. So how do we figure rate of inflation? This is the formula you should remember. CPI in current year minus CPI in the year to compare divided by CPI in the year to compare times 100. So here I have some CPI numbers for you. In 1931 is 15.2, 1982 is 100, which is the base year. I'm going to underline this base year. 2000, 178.2, 2013, 233, 2017, 244.7. Again, the basket that costs $100 in 2000 costs 178.2 units. 2013, 233, 2017, 244.7. If you go back, it costs only 15.2 units. So let's say I want to compute inflation between this and this. So again, I'm going to use this formula. So inflation between 1931 and 2017. So CPI in current year, 244. CPI in base year to compare, 15.2. divide CPI in year to compare 15.2 multiplied by 100, I get 1509.9. That means whatever cost here, price has gone up by 1500%, almost 15 times, more than 15 times. So let's do one small little math problem. Federal minimum wage in 1982, the base year was $3.10. Federal minimum wage in 2017 was 7.25. So you can see that our federal minimum wage has gone up in money terms. Okay, the CPI was 200 in 1982, that's the base year. In 2017 is 244.7. So now our goal is to figure out, hey, federal minimum wage was 3.10 in 1982. It has gone up to $7.25. But the price has gone up also. So our goal is, has the federal minimum wage kept up with the inflation? So how do you do that? In order to figure out inflation adjusted income, you take the current income divided by the current CPI multiplied by 100. So in this case, current minimum wage is 7.25. Okay, and the current CPI is 244.7, and multiplied by 100, you get 2.96. That means our minimum wage adjusted for inflation is only $2.96. Remember, federal minimum wage was $3.10. In this case, what it shows is the federal minimum wage has not kept up with inflation. Prices has gone up more than the money wage that we get as the federal minimum wage. Our current goal for inflation is 2% or less. So our goal is, you can say, why not set the goal for inflation as 0? As to, there are a lot of problems with making our goal as 0. At least some economists think that way. Remember, there is no consensus on this issue. A lot of economists believe, including me, that we should set a goal for 0 inflation. But a lot of economists believe otherwise. Just to give you an example, this country got independence in 1776. If you look at the price level from 1776 till 1913, there was no increase in prices. So if the bread cost 5 cents on average in 1776, in 1913 it cost 5 cents. So how is that possible? The reason is that there was no Federal Reserve Bank to print money. In only 1913, we allowed Federal Reserve Bank to come into picture, and they started printing money. So the only way prices go up is because government prints money. So anyway, now we're going to go back to see why we have set the goal for inflation at 2% or less and not 0. One of the main reasons is some economists believe that there's a trade-off between inflation and employment. So what does that mean, a trade-off between inflation and employment? What that means, they believe a little higher inflation is associated with higher employment. If a little higher inflation, we have a little more jobs. A little lower inflation means less jobs. So they're basically saying a little higher inflation will result in more people working. I do not believe that, but some economists believe that. And then the other problem with calculating CPI also, quality is very difficult to measure. Let's say you bought a cell phone in 2015, which cost $200. And then in 2020, you bought a phone, it costs $200 again. So there's no increase in price. But you'll know that cell phone that was sold in 2015 is quite different than cell phone sold in 2019. Because of competitive reasons, all the manufacturers are always adding features. So CPI has a very hard time capturing the added quality that goes into newer products. So that's a very big issue, and they're not able to solve that problem of how to account for increase in quality. They only look at pricing, they don't look at the quality. The other problem with CPI is substitution effect. What that means is, remember, CPI assumes the basket is the same. We are buying the same number of apples, we are buying the same number of bananas. But say in a particular year, apple prices go up and banana prices go down. So a lot of people do is they buy less apple and more banana. That will their budget will go further. But this assumes that there is no substitution. But by substituting goods that have gone down in prices, we are able to enhance our welfare. We are able to enhance our budget. So CPI does not allow for substitution, which is very prevalent, which is very common for people. The other problem is CPI has a hard time incorporating new avenues for people to buy and sell. For example, now more people buy online, more and more people buy outlet store. For example, the book that we are using, the book costs $150, but if you buy on Amazon or another bookstore, you can buy it for $50. If you buy a used one, a 1 year older edition, you can buy it for like $5 or $10. So, Bureau of Labor Statistics, which compile this information, they are always late in incorporating new avenues available to people to buy goods and services. The last one is the introduction of new products. Let's just take an example of movies. When you go to a movie, say there's a family of four. The ticket costs $10, so 10 times 4 is $40, and then you add a popcorn, another $20, and you add pop, another $20. Now you're looking at $80. But by introduction of Netflix, now you can pay about $15 a month. The whole family can enjoy a movie every day, and you can make popcorn at home, which is a lot cheaper, and you can bring your own pop, which is a lot cheaper. So by introduction of new product, it enhances our welfare, it increases our budget tremendously. But CPI is very slow in incorporating new products. So these are some of the problems with CPI. So according to one estimate, CPI overstates inflation by approximately 1% annually. So this concludes this chapter.